Hi everybody. Okay, this video took longer than I anticipated as I had to think about what I was going to say next, long and hard. I think many of us in my age group who have children of Harry's age think and feel the way I do. We look at Harry and we go, but for the grace of God, there go I. We saw Harry grow up, and although we do not know him personally, we compare our children to him or him to our children. We looked at him grow, we laughed at him, we cried for him, and no matter how angry we are at him today, we are also sad to see what has become of him. At least I know I am. But it does not matter how we feel, how sorry or how sad. The judge cannot rule in his favor. It would be a travesty of justice if that happens. As sad as we may be to see this young man looking and act the way he does lately, the public, the legal system, and Britain needs protecting from him. I would love to see some kind of successful intervention for Harry. See him get the right treatment and see him smile again. But it is clear that he is in a very destructive phase of his life. And while he is self-destructing, he is wanting to take everything and everybody who has ever made him unhappy with him. Make no mistake, he wants to destroy the British media. He wants to destroy the monarchy and even the government if he could. Thus, no matter how sad we are to see him like that, he cannot be allowed to continue on his path of destruction. Okay, having said that, I don't even feel like going through yesterday's testimony because I almost feel as if there is no point in doing so because Harry admitted to three things which sunk his case faster and deeper than the Titanic. Firstly, he admitted that until he bumped into Mr. Sherborne in France in 2018, he had no concerns over any particular article being the result of illegal or unlawful activity. That is a major revelation because what he basically said was that everything he said in the cross-examination up and until that point was utter crap, a complete fabrication and a multitude of lies, right up and until 2018, 2 years after he met Meghan Markle. He may have disliked and resented journalists and photographers, but not enough to accuse them of illegal acts and take them to court. So again, all these stories that he suspected journalists of obtaining information through illegal means as far back as 1996 was utter nonsense, a complete and utter fabrication. Secondly, then he goes on to say that the discussion and motivation for bringing the lawsuit was to find a way to stop the abuse and intrusion that was coming against him and his wife without relying on the institution's lawyers. Now that is very, very significant as well. What does that tell us? It tells us that Harry was manipulated to bring this lawsuit, likely by his wife. And now I am wondering whether maybe, just maybe, this accidental bumping into Mr. Sherborne was a setup. Question is, by who? And I think I know who was behind this setup. Mr. Sherborne also represented Diana, Tony Blair, Paul McCartney, and, drum roll please, ta-da, Elton John. So make of that what you will. But remember, at that time, Elton John really believed that Harry and Meghan were victims. Thirdly, Harry admitted in court that he does not have any evidence of hacking or any other illegal activity. His excuse is that the palace did not show him anything. So there is basically no way the judge can rule in his favor, in my opinion, as the court is not there to show empathy or sympathy or to show understanding for any emotional trauma or make concessions for someone's status. The court is there to rule on the facts, and Harry did not have any. Anyway, before I get to my conclusions and opinion, I shall, however, give you a short and basic rundown of the funny and sad events of the day. The cross-examination did not go as well today in terms of Harry's emotional resolve as it did yesterday. There were quite a few clashes with Mr. Green. At one point, Mr. Green reminded Harry that he was the one asking the questions and not Harry. Harry pushed back a few times, answering questions from Mr. Green with, "I'll take your word for it." Harry also replied with, "I don't know," more often. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, Harry was a little more belligerent and came across even more entitled than he did the day before. That is, right until the end, but we'll get to that in a moment. Harry was of the opinion that a story about a knee injury while he was at Sandhurst was not in the public interest. So Mr. Green asked him what he would consider being in the public interest, and Harry answered, "A life-threatening injury." I think that is also rather significant. But moving on for now. There was a lot, and I mean a lot, about his relationship with Chelsea in this cross-examination. About him emailing Chelsea, about Chelsea being angry with him after him and army buddies visited a lap dancing strip club, an article titled "Hooray, Harry's Dumped After Their Breakup," and so on and so on. Harry also spoke about spending a night with Caroline Flack and mentioned that he did not have a relationship with Astrid Harbord. What I found significant, however, was one specific answer he gave. When Green pointed out to Harry that there was no call data from the Mirror Group to Harry's mobile phone, Harry said they could have used burner phones. Remember how he also said the doctor's phone could have been hacked when it was proven to him that the injury to his thumb did not leak because his phone was hacked? Now this burner phone comment comes down to the same thing, namely a 12-year-old Harry making excuses. And that, my dear friends, subscribers and viewers, is exactly what I walked away with. It is as clear as day that Harry is immature, far and way below his age. Actually, he barely rates early adulthood. Speculation that he suffers from being emotionally and intellectually stunted has turned from speculation to fact. Yes, Harry was spoiled. Yes, Harry got away with murder, and a lot was covered up. But there are many adults who grew up just like him. But at 30 plus, they know how, when, and where to behave in a certain way. They know to be humble in certain circumstances, even though they are indeed faking it. They know when to be serious and when to be frivolous, etc. But Harry doesn't, which indicates to me that there is something wrong with him. And I feel more and more that it is physical as well as emotional. It is my opinion that Harry has a number of issues. I do think he has ADHD, but although that makes all his other issues a little more difficult to deal with, it is not the cause of his behavior. We know he suffered trauma at the age of 13 when his mother died. Yes, people, 13 and not 12, as everyone liked to say. He turned 13 barely 2 weeks after her death. However, 12 and 13 are very vulnerable stages in any child's life, boy or girl, as hormones are kicking in, and for a while, life and emotions are very confusing, and without a parent to guide that child through that phase, it can be very hard and even damaging. As a matter of fact, I made a note of trying to find a video by a Black American man talking about the effect of absent fathers on the crime rate. A very, very interesting video. And if I find it, I will post the link in my community section. Anyway, Harry lost his mother, and his father was not around either. Harry was sent back to boarding school almost straight after the funeral, and his mates, being 12 to 14 years old like him, had no idea how to deal with him and his loss. So Harry was literally set adrift. Harry admits to using drugs and drinking while at school. Now, I've spoken to you about one or two experiences I had with one of my own children, with other people, and with other people's children and drugs. And I don't even need a doctor to tell me the damage it does to a healthy brain anymore. I saw it. I heard a top doctor and psychiatrist giving a parent a diagnosis, the diagnosis of their son having sustained permanent brain damage after a weekend of using hallucinogens, including mushrooms. The use of alcohol and drugs could also have caused stunted emotional and intellectual growth. Yet, regardless of all the damage and all the pain, Harry was still adaptable, and the palace could cover up his indiscretions and behaviors. Those which they didn't cover up made us laugh, and even we made excuses for Harry, branding him the fun royal, the naughty but nice guy. Yet, regardless of the issues he had before he met Meghan, the man who was on the stand in the court is not the Harry we have seen and known for 35 years. The man on that stand was a simpleton, a broken, defeated man, regardless of the bit of attitude he gave in the beginning. The man on the stand is the one who nearly broke down in tears at the end of his testimony. Here is what I think needs to happen immediately. Harry and his wife and her mother needs to be separated as soon as possible. Now, sue me, threaten me, but something is not right. And Doria, with her own history with drugs and herbal crafts, cannot be trusted near Harry unless or until it can be proven that his condition is not due to whatever they are feeding him. There you go. I finally said it. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but this needs looking into and is based on all three adults in that relationship's background and history. So, in other words, based on each of their personal history of drug abuse. Then those children need to be protected in a safe environment until both parents are clean and drug free and not drinking anymore. Harry needs his blood family, his father, his brother, and even Camilla and Catherine, but without the trimmings of the monarchy. Harry needs to be stripped of all his titles, all of them. Once he has detoxed from all the substances he's using, once he has gone through proper therapy and regained his equilibrium and can function normally again, and he had worked for a year, 2, or maybe even 5, doing something worthwhile, then he could maybe be given a title again, maybe the Earl of something or another. But for now, Harry was right. For now, he needs a family, not an institution. He needs to know that people like him or care for him, like and care for him because of him, not because of his title or his family's money. But unfortunately, his face is so well known that incognito is virtually impossible. Thus, he needs his family and friends, and he needs to be just Harry for a while, or for a few years, depending on how long the healing will take. I also want to reiterate that regardless of how sorry we may feel for Harry, it is also not right to allow this man's delusions to play out in public the way it is, and to allow for it to cost the nation thousands, if not millions, of pounds. As much as Harry needs care, the public and the nation needs protection from his ridiculous, damaging, and costly deeds. Okay, my dear friends, that is my humble opinion for the day. I wish you all well, and please take care of yourselves and each other until we meet again on the next one. Bye.